Hey everybody, this is Jeremiah Craig, and I have an awesome Break Room Balladeer episode for you today. Unlike any other, I am following around Chef Aaron Tekulve, featuring his Wild Game pop-up dinner tonight right here in Seattle. You guys are in for a treat. It's the Break Room Balladeer.
I do not want a restaurant. I love restaurants. I love working in restaurants. But the truth is that you sacrifice so much of your life to work in a restaurant, and I really ask, like, why? I mean, you don't make good money. You know, the likelihood of ever becoming any kind of celebrity or anything like that is so incredibly low. You know, culinary schools will sell that to you because they had one person 10 years ago that got on like Next Food Network Star or something, and you know, that's great. I mean, I was on Chopped, right? But there's no celebrity in that. You can go do shows and stuff, but there's nothing that comes from that that's long term. This is a craft that you have to love. I've been in the culinary industry 15 years now, and I love it. But I think that people have to have a really honest idea of what this industry actually is, and it's a lot of hard work. And especially if you're on the restaurant end, it's an insane amount of hard work, and you start to become a slave to the fact that you have to think about doing Christmas Eve dinners, and you have to think about doing New Year's Eve dinners, and you know, there's certain restaurants that do Thanksgiving dinners, and you know, then you know, if your wife, brother, sister, mother, father, whoever has a birthday on a Friday, you know, and you're working in a restaurant and you're a key component of that restaurant, good chance you're going to miss that. I don't want to, and everywhere I've worked, I have said no to working on Christmas Eve. I've never worked a Christmas Eve in my career. That was something that I was just kind of hard set on, just because it's the time that my family and I have always gotten together. And then I just kind of realized, like, you know, if I have a restaurant of my own, I'm going to be forced to make some hard decisions, not because of me wanting to work, but because of the fact I'm going to have employees that I have to pay. So being open on some of these dates, it puts a different strain on you, and there's no way to really understand that until you like open up a restaurant. And I've helped open up a few, and I've seen these kind of things, and it just really told me, like, I don't want to do that. So then the question started to become like, well, how do I solve my own problem? Like, if I want to be able to be creative with food outside of my own dining room table and share my craft, my art with other people, how do I do that? And so the pop-ups really allowed for that. I have some partners over in Chelan where I'm there about every 5 weeks, where I get to do whatever I want. I usually do 7 to 8 course menus. The menu is totally up to me. I never get dictated to. Go out there, we have a fantastic time, and pair with their wines, and that's really helped me have a lot of creativity and satisfaction in what I do. The pop-ups here in Seattle, I've done so many here now that I've got a good little fan base, so it allows me to do that, and I've found that I really only need to do a couple a month now. I don't need to run every single week to be happy. Originally, I thought I needed to. It's also not practical. It's really expensive to rent spaces from people. And so I've, you know, kind of got it down to, you know, this week it's 2, which is actually rare to do 2 in a week, which is super fun. And we did a totally different menu last night than we're doing tonight, which is kind of awesome. But, you know, it's difficult at times just doing the pop-ups, because I miss some of the camaraderie of being around other cooks in the kitchen. And I'm fortunate enough now that the company has grown enough because of the private dining end of it, that now I can hire some people to be a part of things. And I'm really excited about the future of where we're headed. For a long time, I really felt like I was kind of a sailor out to sea, and I hadn't been back in a long time, kind of by myself. And now those tides are kind of changing, which I appreciate. So yeah, it's an exciting time. You know, I grew up in Montana, but we never hunted. We just weren't a family that did. Mom being Southern Californian, dad being Cincinnati, born and raised. We never really did any hunting, but I always enjoyed wild game. I had a lot of friends who hunted. But really when I started enjoying wild game to eat was when we started doing wild game dinners at Lark. And John Sundstrom, who's the chef owner at Lark, he every year had a big wild game dinner, and it was really fun to see those proteins highlighted in a way that you don't typically see them. I mean, you sometimes see like elk jerky and things, but the truth is, if you go to a grocery store, you don't see any of this stuff. And so also just from the standpoint of like giving people the opportunity to try some of these things, it's a nice showcase for that, an opportunity for that, I think. The other thing is that I really enjoy venison and elk and wild rabbit and boar. They're amazing proteins, and I think from a sustainability standpoint too, it's important that people understand how good these can be and see them used in a way that is both creative but also approachable. I think that what we're serving tonight, people will be excited about eating. The thing about my business is for the whole duration of it, I've really been about like pragmatic growth. So slow, deliberate growth, not taking out like big loans to try to make things happen, but rather, build a really solid foundation of clients for private dining work, but also, people who appreciate the pop-up. That way, I feel like in the long run, I'll starve a lot less in the way of business, being dry. It's like you have that solid clientele rather than just like a boom of people because you spent a bunch of money on marketing or whatever. It's like I have a really dedicated clientele of people who hire me back. The big mistake a lot of people make in our industry is jumping too fast. 2017 was a really huge step forward for me in what I do and being able to expand my company, because I had really decided at that time I was not going to open a restaurant. Prior to that, I was on the path. Restaurant life in Seattle is very tough right now. Rents have never been higher, which really prevents people from being able to be really creative. They have to be careful, unless somehow they just have a bunch of money. It's a really difficult thing. So, I just kind of decided I didn't even want to play that game at all and go a different route. And it's going really well. I'm super excited to see where I'm going to be in a year from now. As things have gone so well over the last 3 years, every year is just so much better than the last.
Aaron just finished getting everything ready here at the Prep Kitchen, and now it's off to Bite Box for the pop-up wild game dinner. Here's a song that I wrote for the occasion. This is called I Grew Up on Game. I grew up on game, but it's never been the same ever since I quit my wild ways. From where we all came, remembering our place, growing up on game. Close your eyes, slip back time, and all you feel is love inside. I grew up on game, but I always played it safe, never messed with daddy's marinade. When the night's a dangerous state, there's always an extra plate for a passing stranger at the gates. I grew up on game. Ease your mind, search and you'll find that all you feel is love inside. I grew up on game, and I know I'll never change. I can't quit my wild ways. From where we all came, remembering our place, growing up on game. Yeah. Thanks, guys. I grew up on game, but it's never been the same ever since I quit my wild ways.